A long time ago, but I want to start with you can't. I went to my high school advisor and said I wanted to study architecture, and she said, you can't, that's a man's profession. It is 50 years ago, but it's still really relevant to my personal trajectory and relevant to where we're going. Women were really told, no, you can't, and no, I won't trust you with my high-rise building or other parts and pieces. Norma Sklaric, who was my partner and who's part of why I'm good friends with Allison, was the first Black woman to ever be awarded fellowship in the AIA. We were breaking glass ceilings almost daily. We were the largest wholly woman-owned firm in the United States. We were winning design awards and changing what was going on. And for all of you who fly into LAX, that was a turning point in my career because I was selected to be the design architect for the air traffic control tower at LAX. They thought that I had, because I was an appointee of Mayor Tom Bradley to the Board of Zoning Appeals, that I of course would know everyone on the Cultural Affairs Commission, and Holmes and Narver was taking their designs to them and getting turned down every day. And the FAA had said, either solve this problem or we're going to go hire another architect. And so they called and said, of course you'll be able to get it through because you know everyone. And I neglected to mention them that I didn't know anyone on the board of the Cultural Affairs Commission, because I was confident that the essential problem was that they weren't thinking of it as a meaningful design contextual challenge. So that really changed my trajectory. But I have, over the years, become increasingly passionate, and really we were all talking about it. It doesn't stop with the big idea design gesture. It has to be all the way through. It has to meet the goals and functions of our clients. It has to meet environmental performance goals. Everything has to be done together. I think that's the ultimate strength of architecture, is that we are better at multivariate analysis and solution making than any other profession. And the dean of the business school in Toronto has a whole book about why we should all learn from the way architecture is taught through studios, and business schools should be taking that kind of strategy and thinking that way. So, you know, instead of seeing schedule and budget as a constraint that's impossible, isn't it wonderful to have frameworks that allow you to find the creative solutions? This is the first mass timber project, and Christian came from Seattle, and as we needed assistance in finishing it. But really, we convinced the client to take a chance on mass timber, not because they cared about sequestering carbon, and not because they wanted a carbon neutral building, but because they liked the fact that it was honest, that it didn't overlay fancy finishes, and we used the language of the way they talked about their business as a way to convince them to take a chance on this. And it was a big chance. And this is a project that is, you know, it's achieving net zero energy, it's achieving LEED gold at a minimum, maybe platinum. It's the first major civic building that will be mass timber in Southern California. It's won a grant from the state of California. It's really changing some of the perception of our practice in California. And I'm really excited to say that this week we are going to the mock-up of the mass timber details with a qualified contractor. We convinced the client, well, they had to hard bid it, that they could pre-qualify contractors, and so we have a really good contractor, and we're really looking forward to seeing the detailing. It's taken years to get this thing built, but we'll get there. We have done 7 projects for the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, which, if you read the description of the function, this is a service yard. These people come in the morning, load up their trucks, go out in the field, and basically keep the lights on in Los Angeles. But you wouldn't think of it as a magnificent design opportunity. We've won an opacity award, we've won multiple awards from the AIA and from USGBC LA, and we've really turned it into an innovative and transformative project. Again, achieves net zero energy, actually has water treatment from the showers to turn it back to clean water, is doing complete streets, is doing all kinds of things that really make it a transformative project. In the process of kind of getting into these, I've become a mad materials geek on innovation. You deal technology, I deal technology of materials as my hotspot here. So Carbon Cure is a group that Bill Gates and Warren Buffett are supporting, and they are in market, but there's none in Los Angeles. And so I've been helping them break into the LA market. It's extraordinary to realize that if we are going to meet the goals, how many people know what percentage of greenhouse gas emissions are attributable to buildings? Someone answer.
45. 45.
It's like 70%, I think.
45 is closer. It's about 43 when you take embodied carbon and operational carbon. And we were one of the first signatories to the 2030 challenge. And we have to be doing better. We're improving kind of consistently along the way. But some of the solution is going to come through new materials and through innovation. So there's a really cool system that in earthquake country, instead of breaking the whole beam, it breaks this plate at the end of the beams, and you can go in and replace it without tearing down the whole building. And obviously, decommissioning a building and sending it to landfill or scaling it in a circular economy is really critical. So I am mad geek as a member of the USGBC LA board. We have a net zero accelerator program where we take startups and try to teach them how to take their product to market, which means that I've met people who are taking vision glass and turning it into electricity production, taking coatings for our streets and addressing urban heat island effect. So cool. Now we just need to get them to get approved and get to market. Another innovation piece is Eric Keene actually tasked the structural engineers in the office to go find people doing 3D printing as a structural solution. And Vartan Chilangarian in our office went and found a professor from USC who had a 3D printing strategy. And you wouldn't think of HDR as doing little teeny tiny housing project, but we got the support and enthusiasm to pursue that because innovation matters. It's key to where we will go and how we will go. The moment we're running into the politics of Los Angeles, and we haven't got it built for a year and a half, almost 2 years. I listen to the news a lot. We were talking about that at breakfast. And I read the reports from COP26, and there are plenty of days when it depresses me madly, and it's really hard to believe we're going to, I don't have children or grandchildren to worry about, but I'd like to think that we can leave the planet, and more importantly, our civilization as we know it. The planet's going to survive whether we like it or not. How we live as civilizations is going to be critical. We are at a moment in time where we can't choose to address either COVID or the recession or environmental issues or the biodiversity collapse independently. We have to address all of them simultaneously. And we have this amazing opportunity to make change real. I have to say, I'm at the tail end of my career, but I'd like to think I have another 10 plus years in me where we'll go and change the world, and HDR can have an extraordinary impact. I think it's
Wow.
yours.
I can't follow that. Jeez. Oh my heavens.